Okay, it's going to be hard to do. Try to hold the flashlight and the camera with the same hand. For no apparent reason, the SOS door on my overhead has popped open, and from what I read, it's just the mechanism in here is junk. It breaks and then it's done, and a lot of people just epoxy this shut. What I am going to do now, if you look up inside here, little spring-loaded latch that won't snap shut. It's supposed to grab that post there. I'm going to break out my Harbor Freight O-ring kit. In fact, I got an O-ring right there, and my Harbor Freight pick, and I'm going to loop it across these two to hold them shut, and then push the door closed, and hopefully this will act as the new spring holding it shut. The button's defunct. I mean, it's, even if I wanted to activate it, you can't use it anymore. So all I want to do is get that thing closed, and that's why a lot of people epoxy it. But I guess if you epoxy it, you gotta tape it shut until the epoxy hardens or whatever. So let me give this a shot. Okay, I got it closed. So let me show you how I did it. I'm going to draw it on a diagram because now that it's closed, I don't feel like yanking it back open again. And plus, with what's up in there, you're going to have a hard time seeing what I'm describing. So let me draw you a little diagram as far as what I did. Okay, now here's the solution I came up with. And as you saw, it did work. Long term, I don't know if it's going to pop back open, work itself out again. We'll see. But what I did, after looking closely at it, basically what it is, you know, you got these two spring-loaded fingers that come out with, you know, nubs on the end to catch onto the shaft of the door, and it hooks onto here. And I drew two walls here, but it's actually a box that surrounds this. When you push in, this retracts back into the box, and this mechanism behind here that, you know, latches, gets kind of like a ballpoint pen, that's what's broken. So you push it in and that doesn't catch and it just lets go again. So what I did was I cut up business card and inserted between inside here and here, and what I was doing was the very end of it I bent over just to make it a little thicker or maybe catch on the inside. So because you got to take a pair of tweezers and you got to insert it into that gap there, and then this little bend will catch up in here, either because it's thicker or because it's catching behind here, and it'll hold it in place when you let go of it with the tweezers. Getting the size is a little tricky. You got to kind of eyeball it up, but once it's up in here, it acts as a wedge between the walls of this box and these fingers here, and it'll keep these two fingers closed to grip onto the shaft of the door. And there was no epoxy involved, no taping it shut, and if I needed to, I can pull, just grab my finger and pull that door open and push that button, because as I found out as I was working on it, I bumped that button and the stereo dialed out, and somebody said, this is, you know, your whatever name they call that, and what is your emergency? And I had to give them my name, and I had to assure them that there was no emergency. So 2005 E500, and that button is still very active and still will work in the case of an emergency. So when you're working on this, try to stay clear of pushing that button, or you could disconnect your battery, I suppose. You could do it that way. But this trick did work for me so far. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you next time. Right, Simon?